That's making me want to go that way.
Allow me to offer my assistance.
Damn it, Graha
I have
too.
some small amount of experience in the field of research.
Okay, that's 2 points for Charlene.
Alice and I would also like to help, if you would have us.
Okay.
Anything to understand even a fraction of what our father and the Forum might be thinking.
Of course, the more the merrier.
Right. The rest of us will make the journey to Thavner.
Okay. I think I'm going to do Charlene first. Assuming that's how you're doing.
Objections?
I passed through Thavner on my way to infiltrate the Empire, and though I'm not qualified to give a guided tour, I did gain a sense of where things lie.
I'll be happy to have you along then. So for this group, it will be you, me, and Urianger.
Give me a moment afterwards, and I'll supply you with all the details of Nadana's request.
Okay, so I'm going to do Charlene first.
Consider this hall our rendezvous point once our respective tasks are complete.
This is like
May our
the,
investigations
in
prove fruitful.
Shadowbringers choosing to look for Alphino or Alice. I assume that's how it works. Okay. I think that was the second quest done. Second quest of the expansion. Let me see, is this an upgrade? Gaja skin vest of maiming. Most likely isn't. Nope. But I'm pretty sure I can sell it. Return to inventory. Ah, there we go. Dancred. I mean, I love those three, but I also love Ishtola, Graha, Alphino, and Alice. Hitting the books. I'll start with hitting the books. An unsettling change has come over Charlene, but together we will divine the underlying cause for the form's callousness. As I mentioned before, however, questioning the councils directly is a fruitless endeavor. They seem to have already come to a consensus as to what and how little they are willing to divulge. Which is why I began scouring Charlene's archive as historical records for any hint of a connection to the final days. Suffice it to say that progress has been slow. There are only so many dusty pages one can skim in a day, but now that I have this band of willing reinforcements, the search should proceed all the swifter. Let us reconvene outside Naumenon, shall we? Exit annex to the right and you'll find the archives on the western edge of the woods. Okay, and you guys, you can just stand here waiting for me. One of these quests are going to be the Welcome to Endwalker quest, like a quest line where you go look for Alice was the Welcome to Shadowbringers quest line. It did definitely set the tone for Endwalker. Shadowbringers, I mean. So which of these quests are going to set the tone for Endwalker? That's what I'm terrified of. How is it going to set the tone? I love Reaper, but of course I also like Dark Knight. Oh, what the hell am I doing? What the hell's going on over here? Lots of people in a cutscene. What's this? Mini-tech conveyor. My directions were easy enough to follow, I hope. In any case, you stand now before the doors of Naumenon, Charlayan's grand collection of books and tomes. This building is actually only an entrance. And one of many at that, for the archives of Naumenons extend deep beneath the surface, like the roots of a tree. The vast halls of the great Gubal library pale in comparison to Naumenon's endless maze of subterranean chambers. I assume we got the glimpse of that in the Endwalker trailer. Any citizen of Charlayan is free to enter and peruse its shelves. Well, most of its shelves. Only Archons are afforded access to certain restricted vaults. I've dispatched Ishola and Raha to investigate those. Meanwhile, Alice and Alphino will help me continue my search for the stacks open to the general public. I have a feeling that the books we're looking for are not going to be open to the general public. Your status presents more of a problem. As a non-citizen, you are only permitted to browse the first floor here at the entrance. Even so, there should be a number of books which touch upon Charlayan history or foreign policy. Your task will be to find and study the relevant publications. I promise you, a working knowledge of those subjects will make it far easier to spot the sort of clues we're looking for. Let us be about it, shall we? I've told the others to meet us at the stone benches over there once they found some promising tomes. Happy reading. Come on, Alpha. We got this? What's the emote? Oh, wrong button. Yes. Come on, Alpha. You and me can do this together. Oh, damn. It is a pretty big library. I still want to know what these things are. Brightly colored book. The title on the spine reads The Story of Charlayan. Yes, I'll read it. Long, long ago, on an island in the Northern Sea, there lived a Rogadan man by the name of Nunkrump. Nune was a student of astrology, and he divined that a flood of terrifying proportions would soon sweep over the lands of Eorzea, one of the Umbral Calamities. So it was that he built a gigantic ship and assembled a crew and set sail for that imperiled realm. The flood arrived as foretold, and to their horror, the strangely churning waves drove the people towards the ocean. It was there, however, that Nune's crew hauled them aboard his ark. But the danger had not passed. A towering wave approached, threatening to smash the vessel to pieces. With only moments to spare, Nunes wove a mighty spell of teleportation and shifted the entire ship to safety atop Abalathia's spine. Is that the ship in Girabania? Refugees from the surrounding regions huddled there alongside them. But it was not long before disputes over the dwindling supply of food led to violence and bloodshed. Saddened by the sight, Nune gathered to him his crew and his grateful passengers and abandoned the ark to those reddened peaks. They journeyed to the coast where they built a new ship, intent upon returning to the northern seas. They landed on the beach of an island and settled upon that very spot. That settlement prospered and grew, and in time it became the city of Charlayan we live on to this day. Huh. I always wondered about that ship. Many years ago, on the banks of Thaliak in the Dravanian hinterlands, the Charlayan colony once thrived. The settlement was originally established as a mere outpost to study the ethereal sea in the year 1311 of the 6th Astral Era. Scholars dispatched to Eorzea found the facilities wanting, and the demands encouraged a gradual expansion in structures and services. As rumors spread of a growing community of academics, the area was further inundated with Eorzean students hoping to share in the renowned wisdom of the Charlayans. 50 years later, the Forum passed a motion to recognize what had become a flourishing town as an official Charlayan colony. Eorzean residents took to calling the colony itself Charlayan, which led to no small amount of confusion when discussions turned to the subject of the motherland. In response, some Charlayan inhabitants, if pressed for a name, would simply refer to it as Emporium. Following the Great Exodus, however, goblins and treasure hunters claimed for themselves a corner of the abandoned colony, and gave it yet another name, Idleshire. The following chapters go on to introduce the most prominent features of Idleshire. The book does not appear to contain additional information on the Forum, or cover the history of the Charlayan motherland in greater detail. Oh, this... way more than I thought to read. You know what? I'm going to pick and choose based on titles. Because I can only... Oh, I can just keep reading through them. Stewards of Wisdom. This one. During the chaos of the Sixth Umbral Calamity, Archon Yun, founder of Charlayan, bore witness to the madness and savagery of men brought to the brink of despair. Upon raising a settlement on an island in northern Empty, he instructed his people thus: renounce the ways of war and pursue enlightenment through knowledge and reason. I mean, in some ways that's a good philosophy, but if it's the end of the world, you're going to have to fight. The Charlayans took to heart the words of their savior, and thenceforth served as stewards of wisdom. Upon a foundation of accumulated learning, they built a homeland unlike any other, a nation born from strength of minds rather than strength of arms. With knowledge of economics came shrewd trading. Knowledge of agriculture came bountiful crops. Engineering brought wills and stewards, ending squabbles over water. Wealth of expertise should be bartered for wealth and coin, and the more their wisdom spread throughout the world, the more mankind as a whole would thrive. And so it was that no matter the trials and tribulations of the age, the citizens of Charlayan would live by their founders' teachings for the sake of a better tomorrow, for the sake of a brighter star. They would eschew the tools of war and with knowledge deliver the world. Okay. That's 2 out of 3 done. Well-worn manual. Forever 20 Summers. You know what? I don't want to accidentally get one that's relevant. An introduction to the heavens. That one sounds interesting. The Voice of a Growing City. I want to read the heavens one. Have you ever gazed at the skies above and contemplated the mysteries contained therein? I speak not of shifting cloud patterns, but of the vastness beyond, of the sun and the twinkling tapestry of the night. Some think the dome above us to be a finite space. Yet amongst the leading thinkers of our age, one scholar's depiction of a boundless sea of stars has firmly taken root. They could have just asked the dragons. They are from a different planet after all. They'd know. Alas, this heavenly sea remains an unreachable, unknowable destination. There are few indeed who can explain in satisfactory detail why our own star is believed to revolve around the sun. It was the technologists of Alag who came the closest to understanding the laws which governed that starry abyss. It was they who launched Dalamud, and sought to expand beyond our earthbound existence. Having read of their ancient ambitions, I wonder, has your interest in this field of study waxed or waned? What if I were to tell you that the eternal constellations were arranged differently in the distant past? That their positions continue to shift almost imperceptibly but measurably as we journey into the future? Would it shock you to learn that the stars drift further and further apart, and may indeed do so forever? Are you eager to learn more? The book is on the wrong subject. Search for works which contain details on the Forum, or mention the history of Charlayan. Oh, come on, that's very interesting. I love space. Okay, Forever 20 Summers. My beloved seekers of knowledge, have you ever put learning before your health and neglected to feed and rest your body as you should? I too once engaged in such foolish practices, but one night, engrossed in philosophical study, I had an epiphany. For all the world's mysteries that drive us to a reckless abandon, we have so very few years of life in which to achieve our goals. Thus do I share with you this mantra: I am forever 20 summers young. Forever 20? That sounds familiar. The number itself is unimportant. You could be 19 or 23 or 40, whatever age you are when you discover this manual. Let that be the age you aspire to remain. Through mindful, healthy living will you extend the time available to spend upon your chosen research. Another day, another moon, another summer to grasp greater truths you pursue. In the pages that follow, we will explore the secrets of maintaining one's physical condition from a biological, ethereological, and arcane viewpoint. Wrong subject. So it must be one of those. Wait. Didn't I already read this one? Yeah, I already did. Why didn't it go away? I like the music here. The voice of a growing city. In the years which followed the founding of Charlayan, civic policy and other matters of import were decided at the Ecclesia, a public forum at which every citizen was eligible to speak. As the city's population grew, however, this format became increasingly impractical. The larger number of participants gave rise to ever longer debates, resulting in significant delays of vital resolutions. Various measures were introduced in an attempt to curtail protracted discussions, but in the year 201 of the 6th Astral era, it was ultimately decreed that Charlayan would transition to a new form of governance. The nation would now be led by a body of 99 members, citizens chosen from amongst their peers by means of a nationwide vote. Thus was the forum as we know today conceived and created. Okay, that's what I needed to know. I like that Heaven's book. I still find it crazy that the dragons came from space. I'd love to actually see... Well, I'm pretty sure we saw a Dragon Star. And at least it was a fabricated version of Dragon Star in the Omega questline. But I'd like to actually see it. Rather than it being a fabrication. Okay, Graha, Alice. Sorry, were you waiting long? I wanted to make sure I'd borrowed at least a few promising volumes. Alphino and Kryl should also be along shortly. I was delayed in a similar fashion. As far as I could see, no titles in the Archon stacks were mentioned the final day specifically. So we've no choice but to start with the tangentially relevant tomes if they are even that. At present, the plan is to skim through as quickly as we dare and share our discoveries as we make them. It would have been nice to invite everyone to the estate, plenty of comfortable places to read, and a ready supply of hot tea. I was always quite fond of reading outside. But it's not about the little pleasures, is it? You miss your home. It's been difficult. After our arrival, we managed to speak with one of the family servants and ask how things were. It seems our dear father has instructed the staff that even if Alphino and I were to return to Charlayan, we were not to be allowed across the threshold. I really hate their father. A harsh measure indeed. I hope that our efforts to understand his position and that of the forum will perhaps lead to a reconciliation. We'll mend this rift one day, I'm certain of it. And what of you, Graha? Have you been to visit your family, or do they not live here in the city? Ah, well, my situation is also somewhat complicated. I was raised in Charlayan, yes, but I was born rather further away. In the southern reaches of Ilsabard, in fact. Generations my people have dwelt in Corvos, the coastal region opposite the island of Thavnair. The Alagons founded a city in that fertile land, and by ship brought in the subjugated tribes of the Mikote to serve as laborers. Of course, the massive earthquakes of the Fourth Umbral Calamity brought an end to the Empire's reign. And when the Fifth Calamity froze the sea solid, many of the tribes still living in Corvos braved the journey back to Eorzea. My ancestors, however, chose to remain that they might prevent the remnants of Alagan technology from being misused. Isn't Corvos under Garlean rule? Are we going to go to Corvos at some point? For the past 50 years, yes. Some semblance of local culture remains, as is the case for most imperial provinces. A Garlemald renamed region. Locus? Interesting. The Reaper. The Reaper Laders from Locus. When I was a boy, a nearby town came under the jurisdiction of an industrial imperial family, the nobles of House Darnus. House Darnus demonstrated singular interest in Allegan civilization, and so my tribe was forced to consider a plan of action. For some time already, voices had been raised in favor of abandoning out ancient customs. After all, the Allegan Eye no longer passed to our eldest children as reliably as it once had. Fear of discovery eventually tipped the scales, and the decision was made to bury our ties to the knowledge and traditions of Allag. As the last child born with the Allegan Eye, I was given over to the custody of friends and the students of Baldosian, who had me registered as a Charlayan citizen. I never even considered, forgive me, it was an unkind question. Even Thancred was taken in by Archon Louis Sois, was he not? Stories of adopted wives and rescued orphans are more common among Charlayans than you might think. Yet, regardless of our origins, we are all provided with an equal opportunity to learn, and with sufficient perspicacity, we outsiders can even earn the vaunted title of Archon. This is exactly why I have such love for this country, and why I wish it to remain a nation of which its citizens can be proud. Hear, hear, another good reason to get to the bottom of the Forum's stubbornness. Aside from the trifling matter of our impending doom. Excuse us while we try to make some headway into those books, Davel. More company should be arriving any moment now. I love this. Okay. Oh wait, no wait, I don't want to wait, I want to talk to Alice. There are others better suited to poring over old history books, so I thought I'd try my luck with more recent events. If I can find anything to better inform the Forum's baffling behavior. What else do I know of Corvos? Precious little, I am afraid. I have not returned since Master Gallif's first brought me here. I can tell you that Corvosi rebels still seek to slip the yoke of their Imperial Masters, though the fighting is far less fierce than it once was. Oh, and they have carpets. Flying carpets. The legends are quite extraordinary. Oh, that's pretty cool. Flying carpets. Okay, Kryl and Alphino, what do you have? We've returned with our selections. Although I must say the pickings were quite slim indeed. Master Kryl has indeed flicked through every history book devoted to disasters and more than a few which barely made mention of them. As such, we will be looking into research papers on the Umbral calamities, as well as articles written by prominent forum members. Perhaps their knowledge of the final days comes from an unexpected source. Speaking of which, might I ask you a few questions related to the final days? Took you long enough. I'm the only one here who didn't witness the events of Amarat firsthand, and fear I may be overlooking critical details. Okay, I'll give you what you need to know. My thanks. Now, where to begin? First things first, what kind of phenomena did the ancients encounter as the final days drew nigh? Their creation the fabric of reality for the star went crazy, and it turned their creation magics against them. A complete destabilization of creation magics. Yes, the unfolding catastrophe wrought havoc on all manner of life. Oh, thank you for the hydrate, and I hope you go get some good sleep. Thank you for stopping by. The chaos extended to the ancients themselves, causing their powers of creation to spiral out of control. Fear and despair manifested in terrible, tangible fashion. Meteors raining from the sky, fire erupting from the ground, indescribable abominations prowling the streets. That more or less aligns with my understanding. If only the arts of creation had survived until the present day, we might have had something substantial to analyze. To the best of our knowledge, however, those techniques were not preserved or passed on. Each troll has surmised that the closest known magic is that of the summoning rituals promulgated by the Asians. Was there aught else of note which heralded the approach of the final days? They say it began with a keening sound from this land itself. Ah yes, the Amoratines spoke of it, didn't they? We never did hear this sound ourselves, of course, thrust as we were into the midst of the madness. But it seems that each and every one of the catastrophes were preceded by this ominous noise. Eventually it resounded all across the star, and not even Amorat was spared. So the ground was crying out, you say? To be considered a harbinger of doom, it must have been quite distinctive, and probably quite loud. I assume we're going to find out what's causing it. I'll have to speak with one of the Neomenons, Mammoths, and ask about any books which make mention of such a sound. Last but not least, would you describe how the ancients sought to quell this unprecedented calamity? What definite action did they take? They summoned Zodiark, the first primal. They summoned Zodiark. Yes, with Elidibus serving as his heart, so many gave themselves in sacrifice to bring him into being. We do not know exactly how Zodiac brought salvation to the star, only that by his godlike will were the laws of nature set aright. Then, once the balance was redressed, the ancients offered up a further sacrifice to heal the ravages of the final days. Lives sprouted anew, and it was these fledgling souls they intended to render unto Zodiark, a trade that would have allowed them to resurrect the shades of loved ones absorbed by the primals. Or might have, had Venat and her fellows not manifested their opposition in the form of Hydaelyn. Thank you, both of you, for the detailed review. I feel much more confident now in my understanding of the events. With all that freshly in mind, it does make me wonder what the Tlafroi truly mean when they speak of bringing back the final days. Are they gonna pause it moment for moment? We've seen that they're doing with those towers of theirs. It's forcing people to summon primals a kind of catalyst. Are they attempting to mirror the conditions caused by unstable creation magic? Or are they simply using the final days as a figure of speech? A convenient metaphor for the scale of destruction they plan to unleash. But this is all just pointless conjecture at this stage. Let us return our attention to the forum, shall we? We shall keep an eye out for Y'shtola, but 'tis time we begin studying these research papers. I need to wait at the designated location once again. Hey Dog Fanta, thank you for following. How are you? Hey, how are you? I'm just doing the main series quest for Endwalker. I am the last, am I? Well, my intended search for the Archon stacks produced one or two possibly useful books, but I wouldn't get your hopes up. If you recall, Urianger learned of the source's reflections from the Garen Oracle, but its potential to cause panic and confusion. That tome was deemed apocrypha and sealed away in the Great Google Library. Sounds like a productive day. It is even less likely that knowledge of the unsundered world, not to mention the horrors of the final days, would be left sitting on the shelf for any